I'm curious to ask you about the 6-phase meditation that you talk about.
So I collected 6 protocols and I stacked them together. So the first 3 phases are about present state emotion. It's all about what you're feeling now. The next 3 phases, 4, 5, and 6, are about the future.
When you say intuition, what are some ways of defining that? Is it gut feeling? Is it the ability to manifest?
Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda is a book that suggests that we are spiritual beings experiencing this world as a game. And the more we explore our spiritual abilities, the more we gain the ability to understand things intuitively, but also bend reality. So that's basic intuition. It helps us see the world not as it is, but as it could be. Intuition is the source of so much great creativity, so much great writing. We have all of these great inventors, all of these great creators coming up with ideas and dreams. That is intuition.
Vishen, thank you so much for joining us here today. This is an incredible honor to have you here.
Oh, and it's my honor. I mean, I just checked out your facility. Absolutely love it. It feels like walking into an Apple store, not a longevity clinic. So what you've done here is really incredible.
Thank you. I mean, that was kind of very intentional. We want people to look at wellness as something that they want to do. Going to a doctor's office is often you feel like you're in a disease care environment.
Right.
We want wellness to be part of what people think of when they come to our facility. So thank you very much for noticing that. Often people call us Apple Store of Health and Wellness.
And I can see why. Right.
Well, I've been really looking forward to this conversation because I've been a Mindvalley member now for, I think, over a decade. And as part of one of the reasons I joined is when I first started going through my own personal transformation journey, there wasn't a lot of resources for me out there. And you were one of the first people that made personal transformation almost at scale. And so, I kind of would love to hear how you got to that point. Was it through your own personal transformation journey? And what gave you the spark to do this more so you share the learnings with other people?
Well, okay, so I grew up in a developing country. I grew up in Malaysia. And so I immediately grew up with certain disadvantages over, say, someone growing up in the US, right? Now, my father was a Malaysian entrepreneur. He never went to college, but how he educated himself was through personal development books. So when I was in high school, I remember there was no internet. We had 3 television channels and they all showed like really crappy shows. And so there wasn't that much to do in Malaysia. This was in the 1980s. And so one day, bored, I started browsing my dad's bookshelf. And there I discovered all of these gems, books by Wayne Dyer, by Jose Silva, by Bob Proctor. And I started obsessively reading these books because there was nothing else to do. Boredom is what drove me to personal growth. But as I read these books, I found that I felt I was learning more than what I was learning in school. I was 14 when I started. And so, not surprisingly, when I eventually came to the US to study, I was 19 years old, I continued this obsession. I continued going deeper and deeper and deeper. And eventually, that led to me deciding to start a website dedicated to meditation. So this was 2004. So a lot of people thought meditation was something you did if you joined the cult, right? But I was on the right track because over the next 10 years, research in meditation would accelerate exponentially. And all of these studies would come up showing how meditation helps you live longer, how meditation improves your brain, how it improves your focus, it improves your relationships. And so this little website was selling CDs from a protocol that I was obsessed with, the Silva Ultramind system. It now sits in Mindvalley. The website went nowhere for the first couple of years, and then it started taking off. And then as it started taking off, Mindvalley took off. And so I built a brand where I would go out there, find the best personal growth protocols. I would license it or acquire the company, put all of these protocols together, and we turned it into a subscription. So like Netflix, for a couple of $100 a year, you have access to, what would, if you bought them individually, probably $100,000 worth of world-class programs in everything from longevity with Ben Greenfield, biohacking with Dave Asprey, the Silva Ultramind system that originally changed my life. We strung all of these programs together in one beautiful app that just got recognized by Apple and is now being featured on 2 million iPhone 16s in 200,000 Apple stores across the world.
Amazing. You have brought this field of personal development to so many people, and it's changing so many lives every single day. It helped
Thank
me
you.
change
I
my
love
life.
that.
Yeah, yeah. I look at your story there, and I remember, and it's so great that your father had all these books, and you started reading them.
Right.
And I remember my personal development journey began when I was in medical school, actually, and I was thinking about quitting medical school, and I picked up a cassette tape series by Tony Robbins,
Right.
his first series on cassette tape. And I would listen to that in my cassette player on the way to, I'm dating myself here, but I will listen to that in my CD player actually on the way to classes. And it completely changed my entire mindset
Uh-huh.
around success, around what I wanted to do with my life, etc. And, I look at this whole field of personal development as something that some people might call it a little bit woo-woo, right?
Right.
A lot of people think of it as, people are cultish and they're convincing you to do things and and all these things. But when you really dive into it, personal development means to me a way to really take a hold of
Right.
life and live it to its fullest.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does personal development mean to you?
Let's
Yeah.
go a little bit deeper
Yes,
because
please.
you mentioned woo woo. I don't think
Yeah.
anyone calls it that anymore.
Right.
For sure, there are bad programs out there which
Mm-hmm.
are borderline cult-ish,
Yeah.
right? And but what's really going on is that okay. So Ken Wilber. Ken Wilber is the most cited modern academic of our time. He is a teacher who teaches new ways of looking at the
Yeah.
world. He's also a teacher on Mindvalley. He
Oh.
teaches integral theory, which is a way of understanding how the world functions, how humanity functions, so that you can do a better job being a human, right? So Ken Wilber has this fascinating theory, and it's called the pre-trans fallacy, and it explains why some people it's so easy for them to go into personal development, and other people go, no, this is woo-woo. I'm not touching it.
Right.
And the pre-trans fallacy explains it as follows. So before the age of rationality, which is the age we are in right now, we were in the age of magical thinking. Okay, we believe that if you rub this rock, if you pray to the moon, these events would occur. And then we enter the industrial age, we enter the computer age, the age of AI. All of this collectively is the age of the rational mind. Everything has to be proven by science. But what's also happening right now is that there are aspects of our soul, of being human, that science is beginning to say is true. And this is called trans-rational spirituality. So there's pre-rational, which is magical thinking, bow to the moon, burn this leaf. Then there's trans-rational, which is after the age of rationality. And that's what we are seeing right now. So studies in meditation went through an exponential increase. There are now 15,000 studies on the positive benefits of meditation. But it started, when? 2010. Studies on lucid dreaming, studies on breathwork. My friend Niraj Naik, who created Soma Breathwork on Mindvalley. So one of the big universities in the UK, I forget if it was Cambridge or Oxford, just did a study on his approach, breathwork, and it showed that it significantly reduces PTSD. You have things like plant medicine, whether it is it's psilocybin or even psychedelics like MDMA. Huge reduction in addiction, in suicide, huge increases in baseline happiness, reductions in baseline stress. All of this is emerging since 2010. This is the age of trans-rational spirituality. But here's the catch. People who are stuck with the belief system, everything has to be explainable by science, they are unable to see beyond their blinders. And so trans-rational and pre-rational get merged into one. And they simply call it woo-woo. But that is so sad for them because they're missing out on so many powerful protocols. But again, the world is changing fast. When Dave Asprey first put me on his famous biohacking podcast and I spoke about intuition, I got slammed. Intuition isn't real. Now, this was 2015. Today, I opened the last biohacking conference by Dave Asprey. I was the first speaker on stage speaking about intuition, and everyone is applauding. And Dave himself is endorsing it. So the world has changed in just 10 years.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And, I always look at people being on a bell-shaped curve.
Right.
In the bell-shaped curve, you have people that are early adopters, late adopters, skeptics, and you have people that are the innovators.
Right.
When you first started Mind Valley, you were in the innovation part. And I think you're right. We're going for now, this is becoming more global. And you have people, even skeptics, that are looking at this
Right.
as something that actually makes sense. I have a few friends that are kind of, late to this whole game. And I send them articles now that I find on, respected journals, Scientific American, Cell Magazine, showing a connection between what's happening at a cellular level to the quantum world. And when you look at the quantum world and you look at kind of all the science going on about the beginning of the universe and the Big Bang and how there might be a mirror universe and how there are structures in our neurons that connect us to this quantum world, now the science starts making a little bit more sense around this.
Exactly. And, there's a whole new field of science called quantum biology, which is emerging. And it shows that there are aspects in our biology that is quantum. For example, there's a book on the subject called Quantum Biology, and they talk about how is it that certain birds know exactly how to migrate north or south, right? They know with precision where to fly from the time they are born. And the initial theory was it's the Earth's magnetic field. But now we know that the magnetic field is so faint. There's no way modern biology can explain how these birds are able to detect these magnetic field fluctuations. It has to be something, and quantum biology attempts to explain it. There are aspects of our biology that we're only just beginning to discover.
Right. And I think the same goes for dreaming or lucid dreaming, even intuition, all the things that you talk about quite often. If there's some root in the quantum biology, as you say, I feel like it makes a lot more sense how you can explain some of this, because there's a power beyond what we can detect right now.
Right. And I'm laughing about it because I got into a debate with Neil deGrasse Tyson. We were both speaking at an event together, and he was talking about the beauty and the vastness of the universe. I was talking about intuition. And I asked him, do you believe in intuition? He's like, no. I'm like, well, what about all of the hundreds of studies which say that intuition is real? And he goes, well, and he was on and on and on. His mind is completely set that intuition doesn't exist. Yet you can pick up a book by Professor Dean Radin called The Conscious Universe that analyzes meta-analysis of all of these studies. And Dean says intuition is real. Like, if you look at all of the studies, there is something going on there that we can't explain. But just because we can't explain it doesn't mean we can't use it.
Yeah. Let's take a step back to really define, when you say intuition, what are some ways of defining that? Is it gut feeling? Is it the ability to manifest? Can you give us your definition?
So I'm going to give you the baby definition, the kindergarten definition. Yeah. Then we're going to go a little bit extreme.
Let's do that. Let's start it. Explain it to me like a kindergartner.
So if I had, so Steve Jobs is known as the greatest CEO of the living era, right? Elon Musk maybe will supersede him, but the Walter Isaacson biography on Steve Jobs has a very interesting paragraph. And Isaacson said Steve believed in prana, Prajna, or an intuitive understanding of the world. He developed this idea, theory has it, when he was, as a young boy, traveling through India. And Steve Jobs got so obsessed with these ideas that when he died at his funeral, and this is a true story, he gave away this book to everyone who attended. Bill Gates walked away with this book in a bag, and the book is called Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. Now, Autobiography of a Yogi... I got chills
because I read that, when I was a teenager, I read it. So I'm so sorry, I just got chills when you said that word.
It's an amazing book, right?
It's definitely something to read again and again. Yeah. It's like you pick up new things every time.
Exactly.
Please,
so Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda is a book that suggests that we are spiritual beings experiencing this world as a game. And the more we explore our spiritual abilities, the more we gain the ability to understand things intuitively, but also bend reality, literally poke reality. Now, Steve Jobs spoke about this. There's a famous video clip of him saying, when you understand that the world around you was built by people no smarter than you, and you can change things, you can poke things, you can make your own thing, well, your life will never be the same again. I believe he was talking more about just building a computer. Steve Jobs literally believed in the idea of bending reality. That word, bending reality, which I use a lot in my writing, was mentioned in his biography 3 times by Walter Isaacson. This is why when Steve Jobs was asked to give his famous Stanford commencement address, he said the following line: always follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know who you are to become. So Steve was, at a basic level, saying, listen to your heart. There's something in there. I mean, how did this man join Apple in 1997, right, and take this company that was worth Apple was worth, I think, under $4 billion, and in a span of just a few years, take it to 300 billion, and then even after he died, 3 trillion. How? There was something amazing about Steve. I believed it was this intuitive idea. So that's basic intuition. It helps us see the world not as it is, but as it could be. Intuition is the source of so much great creativity, so much great writing. The inventor Dmitri Mendeleev came up with the periodic table of elements through a dream. The guy who invented the sewing machine, Elias Howe, apparently had a dream where he was being boiled alive in a giant bowl by cannibals, and they were pointing spears at him. And at the tip of every spear was a hole. And that's what sparked the idea for the sewing machine, where the hole is not at the end of the needle, but at the tip of the needle, right? So we have all of these great inventors, all of these great creators coming up with ideas in dreams. That is intuition. But you can go deeper. So Silva Ultramind, which was one of the first personal growth programs I took, okay, and now it sits on Mindvalley. The founder, Jose Silva, he passed away in 1999, but he was training people. He started out wanting to train his kids to go into deep levels of mind that we now, today we call these meditation. But he trained his kids to go to deep levels of mind so he could read them work from their school textbooks. And the idea was that the ideas would sink into their head, right? And they'd be able to also recollect faster. This typically happens when you are able to relax your brain. In medical terms, it's called taking your brainwave frequency from beta to alpha, okay? Going from brainwaves of, say, 14 to 21 cycles per second to 7 to 14 cycles per second. Now, in certain situations, Jose Silva found that he could get his kids to go even lower, 4 to 7 cycles per second. And this is typically theta. This is called the theta level of mind. And it's a scientific term. So when you're meditating, have you ever had that experience where your head kind of bobs like that because you're falling asleep? That's dipping into theta. He noticed when this was happening, his kids developed strange abilities, psychic abilities. And for example, he told a story about how he was quizzing his daughter Isabella on her school lessons. He would read the textbook, formulate the lesson in his mind, but before he could verbally articulate it, she would answer. So he's thinking, I'm going to ask her who's the 16th president of the U.S. Before he could verbally say it, she'd go Abraham Lincoln. So this got him obsessed. He went deeper with his work. Eventually it became the Silva Method. His last body of work, Silva Ultramind, I recorded the course on it because Jose passed away in 1999. It sits on Mindvalley. And when you take that course, whether on Mindvalley or in a room, this is what happens at the end. We train you to get to such deep levels of mind that at the end, we take participants, pair them up with each other, and participants come with a piece of paper. And on one side, you have the name, age, gender, location of a friend. On the other side, the medical history of that friend. Okay, now you don't know what is the medical history of my friend Bob. But I guide you into a relaxed level of mind. It takes 1 minute, and then I'll say, okay, Dr. Darshan, so Bob is 48. He lives in Minneapolis, male, and his last name is Gilroy, Bob Gilroy. And you will go to your level, and you will get such an accurate reading of Bob that you will suddenly get a sense that, okay, he has a problem with his left kidney, that he has a scar on this part of his cheek, that he is going through a sadness right now because his dog died in a hit and run. The accuracy that people come up with is jaw-breaking. It's just stunning, jaw-dropping, sorry. And it happens in 2 days of training, right? 18 hours. If you take the program on Mindvalley, again, it's about 18 hours. That is intuition, and that is where you can go. So when I did my first Silva class, this is the crazy shit that happened, okay? It's wild. I did my first Silva class. I was working in Silicon Valley. I was doing sales. So back then we used the Yellow Pages. So we had to call every attorney in the Yellow Pages A to Z. So I thought, okay, if this is true, then I want to use this Silva approach to basically identify the best leads. I'm not going to call randomly like every other salesperson. I'm going to intuitively guess the best leads. So rather than do the regular approach A to Z, I would go into my meditative level, close my eyes, run my finger down the phone book and just do a gut check. And every now and then I'd get a yes, and then most of the time it was no, 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 no. I just started calling the yeses. I doubled my sales overnight. Then I doubled it again. Then I doubled it again as I started practicing and getting more and more accurate with this. I had no experience in sales. I was floundering. In 4 months, I got promoted 3 times and I was made VP of sales. at the age of 26 because I was tapping into something. This is what later gave me the idea to license Silva.
Sure.
And that's what started Mindvalley.
Because Silva only taught this in a book that he wrote, right? Initially, or
Well,
was
the
it?
book was more an advertisement. So the
I
book
see.
has tons of case studies. It's
Got
a
it.
powerful book. It'll open your mind. You can't learn from the book. The
Right.
book is an advertisement to go get the seminar, right?
Got it.
But since Jose Silva passed away in 1999, there aren't that many Silva seminars. But Silva Method was huge in the 1980s.
Sure.
They were doing about 100 million a year.
Right.
So right now, I mean, the best way to learn Silva Method is on a Mindvalley membership because we got the rights, and that's what we do. We try to get the rights to these incredible programs so they don't die away, and then we build great quality content with them. We put them in this app that's recognized by Apple, and we bring down the price so anyone can afford it.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's going to be so easy for people to access this now. Once
I mean,
on your
a
app.
monthly membership on Mindvalley is like $49. I mean, I paid maybe $1,000 for my Silva seminar, and in that $49 for 1 month, you can go through the entire course on the app. It's 18 hours, about 30 minutes a day. We recommend you space it out.
So let me ask you, where have you seen people use the Silva method and use accessing their intuition? Do you have some examples you can give us?
Oh, tons, absolutely tons.
Maybe
So
a couple of big ones that you saw like really blew your mind.
yeah, so I've seen in classes incredible situations happen. So here's one. There are many different ways we develop an intuitive understanding of the world. So there's clairvoyance, where you see things, clairaudience, where you hear, clairsentience, where you feel it like a gut feeling in your body, right? So people have information come to them through different means. So I was in a class, and the two students were paired up, and the guy who is the guide is the one with the case, the piece of paper with the person's diagnosis. And then the other person is the meditator. So the meditator suddenly said, "It's weird. I keep hearing the word break back. Break back. What does that mean? What is break back?" And it turned out that the person who was written down had his back broken in an accident, right? So that's a really powerful thing. Now, Silva doesn't just teach you to diagnose, it teaches you to heal. So let's talk about back accident. So I was in Turkey recently, and this famous Turkish actress reached out to me, and she wanted to take me out to dinner because she was grateful. And why was she grateful? She had a severe car accident, and she broke her back. And she said she healed her back using a combination of Joe Dispenza's work and Mindvalley's Silva program, right? And my unique meditation, the 6-phase meditation. So there's a lot we can do. And you're in the field as a healer. There is so much that we're learning right now about how our mind really governs our body. A new book came out. I want to recommend this to all your listeners. It's called The Expectancy Effect. And it's all about how what we expect to happen with our bodies happens. And it's incredible how much the mind impacts the body. So I remember one really stunning statistic in this book because I was going through this. So I had a health situation, and I was bedridden for a while. And because I was bedridden and I had some injury, I couldn't really work out. My muscles started fading. When I read this book, there was this incredible study that said that people who are actually bedridden, if they just visualize themselves walking, they don't even have to walk. If they just visualize themselves walking, right? Muscle loss goes down 50%. I had a friend who broke his ankle, and he couldn't walk for about 2 months. His legs shrank. And this was a guy who was training for a bodybuilding contest. He lost all his muscles. I had to share the study with him because it's fascinating. He could have prevented 50% of muscle loss by just for 3 minutes a day visualizing himself walking. And it's crazy how the brain impacts the body.
And this is one of the main reasons I was so excited to have you on this podcast, because I'm a big believer in the mind-body connection. And, some people in medicine call it the placebo effect. Some people call it mind-body connection. But there's definitely the ability of the mind to heal the body. And I feel if all of us could incorporate this into our wellness routines, we could further accelerate everything that we're doing. And to your point, even just visualizing the perfect set when you go to the gym,
Right.
you get a lot better muscle building ability, protein synthesis from just the visualization aspect of it. And so you can apply this to many different things, whether you're healing from an injury or you're just trying to get better gains at the gym,
Right.
losing weight. I've seen this also work with weight loss as well. It's an extremely powerful modality that all of us should incorporate into our wellness routines. And so, I'm curious to ask you about the 6-phase meditation that you talk about. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and what that
Yeah.
is?
So after my work working with, we have about 100 programs in Mindvalley membership. I've interviewed about 1,000 people, and some time ago in 2014, I decided to put together a morning routine for myself based on concepts of meditation, but also going beyond. Right. So we typically think of meditation as or mindfulness as breathing in, clearing your mind. That's not all it is. Meditation is a catch-all phrase to a wider array of different processes. For example, the act of just closing your eyes and thinking grateful thoughts, things you're grateful for, that could be called a type of meditation. And so I collected 6 protocols and I stacked them together. So we call this the 6-phase meditation. And I released it for free on YouTube. And to this day, anybody who wants to get this, it is literally free. I want to put it out to the world. You can buy the book, but I made, and definitely check out the book if you want to go further, but the audio is free on YouTube. And so the first protocol is compassion, and it's based on Zen Roshi, Buddhist compassion practices. Compassion's important. We don't understand this, but you can train compassion like a muscle. And when you train your compassion muscle, you get less triggered. So if your friend or family member has a different political view from you, especially now that the election ended, you actually have greater levels of empathy. And you don't get angry, you don't get annoyed, you are far more understanding. If everyone did this, the world would be such a peaceful place. Now, the compassion ritual takes about 1 or 2 minutes, and it's super simple. You imagine the face of someone you love, okay? And studies show that when you see the face of someone you love, your heart rate variability moves towards more favorable scores, right? The HeartMath Institute in Los Gatos studied this. So as you do that, you're really changing your heart rate variability, which is a biomarker for wellness. But then you try to imagine you can feel that love. So I do this with my daughter, Eve. I feel that love in my heart. And then you imagine you're taking a breath. And as you exhale, you imagine that love expanding to fill your entire body. You take another breath, and now you expand it to fill the room. And if you happen to live in a house or a building with neighbors or a house with your family, you feel that love moving to them as well. Not just to them, but to all life, to your plants, to the pets. Take another deep breath, expand it to the neighborhood. Take another deep breath, expand it to the city. Take another deep breath, the state. Take another deep breath, expand it to the country. Then take another deep breath and expand it to the entire world. If that initial color you felt into your heart is light blue, you see the entire world covered in a light blue energy. That is a Zen Roshi compassion practice. And when you do it enough times, you feel more loving. You just become a nicer person. It turns off every undercurrent of assholism that one may have, right? Now you go on to the second practice, gratitude. And there's a protocol for that. Third practice, forgiveness. Forgiveness, by the way, the ultimate biohacking tool. So Dave Asprey, who runs 40 years of Zen,
Sure.
the famous biohacker, forgiveness is a key protocol at 40 years of Zen. I learned this with Dave. Then you go to so the first 3 phases are about present state emotion, right? Remember Eckhart Tolle, his book, The Power of Now? It's all about what you're feeling now. But it is wrong to think that all spirituality is about just being present, because we are builders, we're creators, we have businesses to build, we have new inventions we want to get out, we have a world we want to make better. So the next 3 phases, 4, 5, and 6, are about the future. Phase 4 is about visualizing some aspect of your life 3 years out and seeing it glorious, seeing it beautiful. Phase 5 is about seeing your perfect day unfold. And phase 6 is where you tie this to whatever is your religious belief. It's a prayer, a blessing.
Love this. Yeah, I can't wait tomorrow morning to wake up and listen to your 6-phase meditation and do this. I would do this for years, utilizing another tool called the 5 Minute Journal. Have you seen
Right.
this? Yeah.
Yes, the
But
5 minute journal is a really great tool
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Right.
Gratitude, visualization. These are such powerful techniques that really move your life forward
Right.
in a positive direction. I love how you created this 6 phase meditation technique to
Right.
bring this to more people. And I totally agree with you. Making this part of your morning routine, evening routine, it has to be a routine. When you do it on a day-to-day
Right.
basis, you can actually see massive changes in your
Exactly.
life.
But I just want to state my viewpoint there. I don't believe you need to do the 6 phase meditation every single day. What happens is you should do it for maybe 2 weeks or
Hmm.
so. You're going to start feeling incredible, but then it's going to start plateauing. Okay, at that point, you only need to do it maybe twice a week, 3 times a week, but still meditate every day. But what I encourage people to do is, whether you use the Mindvalley app or you use the Calm app, pick a meditation or a hypnotherapy or a soundscape or a breath work or sound healing and do one 20-minute session in the morning and mix it up. So, for example, in the Mindvalley app or the Calm app, Headspace, all of these apps, great stuff. On the Mindvalley app, we take this area of meditation and we break it into hypnotherapies. And we have some powerful hypnotherapies from Paul McKenna that can actually elevate your confidence, reduce baseline stress levels. There's soundscapes. Soundscapes are where there's a beautiful background sound playing and you just relax and there's no obligation to do anything. I mean, you don't have to think about your future, just freaking relax. Then there is breath work. Breath work is powerful. It's a incredible protocol. And then there's meditations, of course, and then there's creative visualizations. Creative visualizations, for example, we have this amazing speaker, Lisa Nichols, record these creative visualizations where you see yourself, giving the most incredible speech of your life in front of thousands of people, where you see yourself finally getting the keys and walking into your dream home. Powerful stuff. And what we visualize, we are so much more likely to actualize. So I recommend that people have a practice. 20 minutes in the morning, every single day. Just go in your own head. Tune out the outside, turn off the outside world, and go within.
Yeah, it's an incredibly powerful way to start your day too, because when you start it in that mode, you stay in that mode for the rest of the day as
Exactly.
well. I really believe
Exactly.
that. And instead of getting on your phone and scrolling social media, the
Right.
first thing you do in the
Right.
morning is
And by the way, it takes no extra time.
right.
So let's say you're now sleeping for 7 hours and 30 minutes, okay? That's your optimal sleep. You can test this out in your Aura ring.
Okay.
Reduce your sleep to 7 hours, 10 minutes, okay? And then do that 20-minute, do any meditative 20-minute practice. Obviously, I suggest the 6 phase, which, as I mentioned, is free, but you can pick anything you want. And then you may feel a little bit tired in that first morning, but when you go to day 2 and day 3, because of that meditation, that meditative act, whether you do it in the morning or you do it in the afternoon, that extra 20 minutes, you will actually sleep better. There's a book called Wake Up to Sleep by Charlie Morley, and he
Right.
cites this study. If you have a meditation practice or any type of relaxation practice, you drop baseline stress, you sleep better at night. So you can take away this 20 minutes from your sleep if you are the type of person that is already saying, I'm too busy for this, not another thing to stack on my morning.
Right. Right. No, it makes sense to add this in. And like you mentioned earlier, about HRV, what I notice in my own personal physiology and also the physiology of my patients, that when they add meditation to their life, almost universally HRV goes up.
Yeah.
And for a long period of time. And to your point, even if they meditate once a week, they have better HRV, and they notice it starts
Exactly.
trending down when they don't have
Right.
meditation as
Right.
part of their
It's
routines.
crazy, right? What the
crazy.
hell is going on?
Yeah.
Or what the heaven is going on? I have no idea.
Right, but it's working. So just
Right.
just do it. Try it. You have so many tools on the Mindvalley app, thousands of tools, right? What are the other 2 or 3 that you can kind of recommend to us to check out as really moving the needle for most people?
Well, okay, so one of the things that we just deployed is an AI called Eve. It's currently on the desktop version of Mindvalley, not yet the app, but go talk to Eve. Eve stands for Everyone Elevates. And so we look at what are the programs that are helping people in specific situations. Maybe people are looking to lose weight. Maybe people are looking to build muscle. Maybe you're looking to de-stress. Maybe you need some confidence. I had a unique experience today. As I was checking out of my hotel, the lady at the reception recognized me and she said that she used the app to help her overcome the tragedy of her brother committing suicide, right? And so that's dealing with grief. So talk to Eve on the Mindvalley platform and ask Eve, like, what can you help me with? And Eve will recommend the right meditation for you, because we have a library of 1,000 like really incredible meditations, hypnotherapies, and so on. And then sometimes you have to listen to something for about 20, 30 minutes and you immediately feel better. But to create a sustained change, you might want to go into a deeper program like Silva Ultramind to develop intuition, or Super Brain by Jim Quick to develop speed reading skills. It depends on what your goals are. But there's a lot of content and the AI will guide you.
Yeah, I love that. You know, as I look at this modern landscape of longevity science and health and wellness that I'm in, and that's what this podcast is about, we have so many more tools available to us through the digital world,
Right.
you know? And so sometimes I worry about the digital world. I feel like we are going deeper and deeper into this digital world. There's a lot of benefit there, but there's also, I see a lot of negative consequences too. And
Yeah.
social media can be negative in many ways and positive in certain ways. How do you look at this new digital world that we live in? And I mean, you're deep into it yourself. How does someone live in the real world, but still also use the tools of the digital world effectively?
Okay, so I just want to be really honest here. Social media, if you actually look at the studies, is causing us to get more disconnected. I wouldn't go so far as to say it's ruining the world, but there's a reason why in certain European countries, they're now enacting laws banning kids under 16 to go on social media. It's because studies are showing that it's causing that there's a correlation here. It's causing increases in loneliness, in depression. Among teenage girls in America, there's been a 300% increase in suicide rates. And it started around 2010, the age when social media started making it going mainstream. And so we have to be careful here, especially with our children. But adults get addicted just as much. The average American is now spending almost 2 hours a day on social media. And what we got to understand is that social media is basically artificial intelligence grabbing our attention. The algorithms on social media are not being programmed by humans. These are AI that's studying your behavior, understanding what's going to get you hooked, and surfacing the content unique to you. So every person is seeing something different on Instagram, on their timeline. You're seeing the content unique to you to get you hooked. But not only that, they're showing advertisements unique to you to get you hooked. I know this because my company spends $40 million a year advertising on social media. The AIs are deciding who sees our ads. And you know, we're one of the top advertisers. I'm glad that what we are advertising are healthy practices, right? But we got to be careful. It is so important to use some of the new features on Apple. So what I love about Apple as a company, right? Apple is aware of this. Apple allows you to set your security settings on your phone so that some of the big social media companies, and let's be honest, we're really talking about TikTok and Meta, these companies are not able to track you as much. So again, less intrusive advertising. And then the other thing is they're not able to get you hooked. If you allow them to track you, you'll see better content on social media. But what does better mean? It means you're spending more time with your eyes glued to a screen, right? So you don't want social media to serve you better content. Exactly. You want it to be as boring as heck. You catch up on what your friends are doing, and then you go back and read a book.
Yeah, absolutely.
So use those features by Apple, and for frickin' sake, set a timer. Because social media will hook you in. I know because this started happening to me. I started getting really hooked on Instagram.
Yeah, I share that. I mean, definitely before I turned that setting off on Apple and used screen time to set a timer, it was hours I was spending on social media. And, you know, it became to a point where I was like, this is,
right.
I'm losing out on time with my kids because of social media. So I totally agree. And those tools are very powerful to help. Right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's so important. I mean, I found that naturally I'm actually reading less.
Yeah.
And that's not a good thing.
It's not a good
and
thing.
I know it's bad, but I'm struggling to cope with this just as much as everyone else. See, I have to use social media because I'm just like I'm on this podcast.
Same.
I use social media to spread messages of wisdom. But that means that I'll go to post a video, right? To share a word of wisdom. And then I get sucked down this rabbit hole. And an hour later, I'm like, what the hell am I doing with my
Oh,
time?
Vishen, this happened to me so many times. Sometimes I don't even finish my video because I got sucked down a rabbit hole. I know exactly.
We are human and we are
Yeah.
flawed and we are messed up just as much as anyone else.
Exactly. And the AI knows that.
The AI knows that, right?
It's crazy. Vishen, I want to ask you about your book that you wrote, Extraordinary Mind.
The Code of the Extraordinary Mind,
Code of
yes.
the Extraordinary Mind. Can you tell us, define for us, what is the extraordinary mind? What is the Code of the Extraordinary Mind? Tell us give us a little overview.
So the Code of the Extraordinary Mind was simply through I think when I wrote that book, I had Mindvalley for about 12 years. And I'd interviewed a ton of really inspiring individuals, and I reduced all the lessons I learned to 10 laws, right? 10 laws to get yourself out of the culturescape. So what is the culturescape? It's that collective web of rituals, beliefs, ideologies of the world around us, to unplug from that world and set our own rules, create our own world, master what's going on within. And the book uses a narrative style of education, which means it's like you're having a conversation over a couple of drinks with a friend and a lot of storytelling, but then also really key points. And then it connects to audios and resources you can dive into to go deeper into these points. I'm proud of the fact that the book has been translated to 25 languages and at one point became the #1 book in the world on Amazon.
That's incredible. One of the things that you talk about in the book is breaking free from conditioning, right?
Right.
What is conditioning and how,
Okay.
how does someone break free from it?
So all of us grow up in cultures and societies with certain rules around the way life is meant to work, okay? And the thing is, because of our natural evolution to be loyal to the tribe, because when human beings were just emerging, if you didn't follow the rules of your tribe, you were ostracized, you were kicked out, and that meant sure death. And so we blindly follow the rules of our tribe. Human beings are a lot more sheepish than we think. So whether it's rules of law or it's rules of a religion or rules of culture, they are rules that we follow, that we don't question. But what happens is that some of these rules are useful, but there's a large chunk of them that I call bullshit rules or rules.
Yeah.
You got to be
Rules, right?
very careful at identifying the useful rules from the bullshit rules. So what are some potential bullshit rules? Well, it's so different based on the culture you're in. But
What are some like around health? Some bullshit rules around health.
so milk, drinking milk.
Let's talk
right?
about milk, right?
Let's talk about milk. So this is classic example. Remember the Got Milk campaigns that
Yeah.
were popular in America in the 1990s? So it turns out that milk is basically neutral food. That means it's not doing anything bad. It's not doing anything good, except in 24% of the population, milk causes acne. So it hurts your skin. But there's no significant beneficial side effect of milk unless you're starving and you need caloric input, right?
Exactly.
And for many people, milk causes
Yeah.
milk can cause stomach problems.
Dairy sensitivities.
Exactly.
Lactose intolerance.
Exactly. So
yes.
drinking milk, that is a rule.
Right.
My children don't really drink milk anymore. They just take water.
Right.
Fruit juice. Fruit juice is another rule. So fruit juice and the way it's sold in America isn't coming from fruit.
No.
It's artificial flavoring, artificial colors. It's designed that way so it has a longer shelf life, and it's filled with sugar. And so parents ask me, well, so I can't give my kid milk. I can't give my kid fruit juice in the morning. What do I give my kid? Water.
Yeah. What about water?
Water. How do you think we survived as a
Exactly.
species?
Right.
Water. Right? So there are many rules about even breakfast and what we eat for breakfast.
Sure.
Oh God, speaking of breakfast.
I think breakfast is a rule.
Cereal. Cereal. How the heck did Americans come up with the idea of, well, we know, I'm saying how the heck Dr. Kellogg invented cereal to prevent boys from masturbating.
I know.
Did you know that? I mean, that cereal was invented to suppress male libido. This guy, this strange man had this weird obsession about sexual purity.
Right.
And that's what led to Kellogg's.
It's incredible if you watch the YouTube videos on this, and it almost sounds like fiction writing. And
Right.
then you watch the YouTube videos, and there he is talking about this stuff, and it's mind blowing. And that's And that was his reasoning for developing cereal in the first place.
Right. And so it's really interesting. It's really interesting that RFK is now going to go after the cereal companies, right? So I'm glad that RFK is getting the position he is as the head of the nation's health by Trump. But you want to know a really bizarre story? So Mar-a-Lago that Trump owns used to be owned by the cereal queen of America.
No.
The lady who started one of America's biggest cereal companies built Mar-a-Lago before Trump bought it when it was a distressed property in the 1990s.
Yeah.
So things are coming full circle. And now Trump and his RFK buddy are going to go after the cereal companies.
Yeah.
I like that. It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen.
The world is so ironic, isn't it?
Right.
It really is. Let's talk about some of the more of the 10 rules in the book.
Right.
You call them 10 rules for personal freedom, right? Can you talk to us a little bit about personal freedom and what that means?
Well, I think the biggest aspect of personal freedom, we're not talking about, overcoming government restrictions and all of that stuff. I'm really talking about overcoming the chains that you don't know you're carrying. So one of the stories I share is that growing up in an Indian family, I became an engineer, not because I loved engineering, but because that was what was expected. Is that how you became a doctor?
You see
Was
the
it
doctor
Indian family
engineering.
pressure?
Yeah, there's only two
Right.
choices, doctor or engineer, right?
I mean, there's a good part to it.
Yeah.
Like Indians are some of the most successful demographics, ethnic demographics in America, right? So there are good things to it. I'm not saying it's bad, but in my case, I hated engineering. I felt I wasted my college life when I would have rather studied something that I was truly passionate about. So, it's not always right. And so overcoming the rules is one of the 10 rules. We go deeper. We talk about models of reality, how to understand what are the beliefs in your mind that are actually influencing your body and influencing the way you show up in life. We go into systems for living, how to design systems, which is an advanced form of habit creation, where you are constantly doing the right things so your life is progressing on an upward spiral of growth.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in habits are the basis of an upward spiral.
Right.
You do something consistently, 1% a day improvements adds up to 3,400% a year change.
Right.
And it makes all the difference sometimes, for sure. Okay, so on Mindvalley, you and many others talk a lot about biohacking.
Yes.
And it's a big focus of, I think, your world.
Mm-hmm.
And you are one of the world's experts on biohacking. And so I would love to hear your kind of thought process around biohacks. How can someone incorporate these into their life? And what are some of the most useful ones that you found?
Okay, so firstly, when I speak at biohacking conferences, what I typically speak about is the 6-phase meditation. I don't think biohacking has to be expensive. I think it starts with the mind. Okay, and Dave Asprey, by the way, 100% agrees. Ben Greenfield, another biohacker who's on Mindvalley, he wrote a whole book on the power of connection to God and prayer. They all the top biohackers in the world who are friends of mine agree with this. But then if you have money to spend and you want to go deeper, there are tons of different protocols. I mean, I'm about to go into your facility to have a whole range of protocols run on me. One of the things that we're doing is the in-body scan, which I strongly recommend that everyone does, because it's good to know the makeup of your body, your fat percentage, your muscle percentage, and to set goals to grow that. So a couple of things that I like doing. So firstly, I sleep on what's that bed called? A Samina bed. A Samina bed. So a Samina bed is a really interesting bed. It's a grounded bed. It's designed with bamboo and natural products, because when we sleep on a regular mattress, there's a lot of absorption of chemicals from like fire retardant chemicals to ink from
like
the design
forever
of the
chemicals
mattress.
on the mattress.
Forever
and many
chemicals.
of them, yes.
So a Samina bed is the cleanest bed out there, because you're spending 8 hours a day lying on it.
Right.
Right. It's elevated about 30 degrees, which helps you sleep, and it's a grounding bed. So you're getting naturally grounded, and there's a lot of evidence for that as well. A couple of other things I do. Sometimes I use an 8 sleep. Okay, when I'm going through bouts of insomnia, I use an 8 sleep. And a couple of other things I do is I built a GPT that plans my supplements. So I worked with I have a supplement company, mindvalleystates.com, and we sell supplements that transform your moods. There are supplements for moods to give you focus, to put you in a sensual mood, to help you relax, to help you sleep. And so one of the things that I do is I have access to great supplement scientists. I put together a document, fed it into ChatGPT, and created my own GPT that designs my supplement plan week by week by week. I don't believe in taking 50 pills a day, as some people do. I take 12 to 15. But they are precision depending on what my goals are. Do I have an intense travel schedule? Do I have to overcome jet lag? Am I going to be going hardcore in the gym? Okay, and based on all of those things, jet lag, more melatonin, hardcore in the gym, more creatine, it just depends, right? So my supplement is custom designed week by week by week by an AI. Those are some of the practices that I do. Right now, I'm practicing WildFit. WildFit is a health modality that Mindvalley partners with, and I'm a big fan of it. I'm tracking everything I eat, again, using ChatGPT. I have a version of ChatGPT where I've told it how much calories I want in a given day, my protein targets for a day, and I just take pictures of what I'm eating, feed it into that ChatGPT, and it'll tell me, okay, you are underneath your protein target by 20 grams, you are above your calorie target, and then, you can train it to make fun of you or poke you or bully you if that's the type of motivation you need. So I combine a lot of these different practices together. But what I shared are some of my favorites. Oh, of course, Aura Ring. Sleep is so important. So I use the Aura Ring and I take the Dream supplement from Mindvalley. So this is a custom sleep supplement that I had invented, and it's on mindvalleystates.com, subtle pitch. And I love it. It boosts my Aura Ring scores by about 10 points when I take it.
Wow, I can't wait to try it.
Yep.
That sounds incredible. I love this concept of using artificial intelligence, and you're just doing it yourself right now, where you're giving ChatGPT the information it needs for hyper personalization. And you look at all the recommendations out there. I'm a big believer of not everything is going to work for everybody,
Right.
and some things might work incredibly well for you, or it might harm the person next to you. And so
Right.
using AI to hyper personalize sounds like what you're doing a lot of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So what we mean by hyper-personalization is I put in my body fat percentage, my height, my weight, my age. My instance of ChatGPT knows all of that. And so it's giving me exactly the advice I need. But of course, it also is prone to hallucinations. So it's given me bad advice. AI is not yet going to replace your coach. And so I check everything with my health coach.
Right. It would be incredible to see as well. We're doing the full testing suite
Right.
on you as well, and feeding that information into your
Exactly.
GPT and listening what your GPT has to say
Right.
about your blood tests and your toxin tests,
Yes.
etc. We're going to give you about 800 different biomarkers that you
I
can
can't
use.
wait for that.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's going to be really incredible, especially because your GPT already knows you. You've been using it for a
Right.
while. That's going to be. You have to get back to me and tell me what you find.
I can't wait. Right. That's a great idea. I'm gonna do the battery of tests at your facility, Next Health, and then I'm gonna feed that into the GPT and see if it can improve the ideas it's giving me, as well as my supplement GPT.
Yeah.
I'll feed that into my supplement GPT too.
That's going to be extremely powerful, because that's something
Yes.
that we do here. We send people monthly boxes of their supplements,
Right.
and we use AI to coordinate that with their blood tests and how they're feeling.
Oh wow.
No,
That's
so
great.
It's been a game changer for a lot of people, like
Yeah.
you said. And one of the things that people really love about that is not taking 1,000 different supplements. You
Yeah.
can really get down to a few that
Exactly.
make a big difference.
Exactly. Not taking 1,000. Right.
Yeah, I love that. One of the things that our audience is very interested in is turning back their biological age. And I know this is something that you're very
Yes.
interested in as well. Tell me a few of the things that you're doing to turn your biological age back.
Okay. So again, I want to stress what I think is the number one thing.
Yes.
Meditation.
Right.
So the last glycan age test I did, I was 46. I'm now 48. My biological age was 20. And so glycan age, I like that test. I'm sure there are other tests you would recommend as well.
Glycan age is a good one, though. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So meditation is a key one. But when I'm meditating, there are certain statements I'm putting in my mind. And your mind is extremely susceptible to autosuggestion. So I use a technique from a Mindvalley teacher called Christy Marie Sheldon. The technique is called lofty questions. This is how it works. Rather than say, I have a fit body, that's an affirmation. Problem with affirmations is there's a doubt within your mind that will push that away. You turn it into a question. Why do I have the fit muscular body of an athlete? What does my body heal and rejuvenate itself as I sleep? Why am I getting younger and younger every year? Why do I have such amazing skin and eyesight? And literally, I can tell you this, my eyesight's gotten better. My skin has gotten better. And the why do I have the fit muscular body of an athlete? When I started saying that, I was at 22% body fat, right? I had a dad bod. I went down to 14% body fat in 6 months. Now, of course, I was also doing things. But what happened is I think by putting that command in my head, I discovered methodologies to help me reduce my body fat. And I was more inspired to do these methodologies. I was effectively hypnotizing myself while in meditation. So again, Google that, Lofty Questions by Christy Marie Sheldon. I popularized it. So if you find it now, you'll probably find an article or something or a talk on it by me. But I just want to give credit where it's due. So that process is number one. Number two, high intensity interval training. In Mindvalley, there's a program we developed based on this called 10X. And many biohackers will tell you this. You want to build muscle, incredible levels of muscle, you only have to go to the gym twice a week for 20 minutes each. That's what Dave Asprey is. And he, in his 50s, graced the cover of Men's Health magazine, fully ripped with abs and everything. Twice a week in the gym, 20 minutes each, but you're going hardcore. Slow movements, heavy weights. Okay? And
visualizing as you're doing it is really
right.
helpful, yes.
And then supplementation. You need supplementation.
Yes.
I mean, Naveen Jain, who is the founder of Vio, the gut...
I know him very well.
Yeah, right. The gut health testing company, he shared a really fascinating statistic with me. He said, if you look at an avocado today and an avocado in the 1980s, the avocado in the 1980s had something like 10 times the nutritional density. So because of what's happening to our soil, our food is losing its nutritional value, and therefore we need to supplement. So I found this. I found that when I supplement, my moods are better, my energy levels are better, my sleep is better. And so supplementation is important.
Yeah, especially now. I think, as you mentioned, not only is the food nutrient density gone down, but you're also missing a lot of the phytonutrients, and you're missing a lot of the essential fatty acids, et cetera, that we used to just get from food. And now we don't get this from food like we used to. And we're also in one of the most toxic environments ever that humans have ever been living in. And that requires more nutrients for your body to deal with these levels of toxins as well. So I'm a full believer. I agree as well, supplementing, but smart supplementing with quality products like yours, and making sure that the products you're taking are actually the ones that your body needs. And that's where really dialing it in makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
absolutely. So what's next for you?
Oh, so many exciting projects coming up. We are excited about Mindvalley States, a new nutrition line. Super excited about a new app that Apple selected to feature in 2 million iPhone 16s. So the app is coming out for the public this week.
Okay.
This week.
I can't wait to get
so
it.
that's the new version of the Mindvalley app. And in Dubai, we're about to put on what we eventually want to be the world's biggest summit for personal growth. It's called Future Human. It's happening in the Expo Center in Dubai. And it's happening in January, and I'm excited about it.
I can't wait to go to that. I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm just having fun. I just want to build good stuff that make humanity better, you know?
Yeah, you're doing it. You're definitely doing it. I see it in everything that you do, and it comes with such great intention for humanity.
Yeah.
I love that.
I get such a kick out of this.
Vishen, when you look back at that bookshelf that you picked up these books from Silva, from your dad,
Right.
What are some of the other books that made a big difference in your thought processes?
Oh, yeah. So if I could say books that totally transform me, Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. The official course now sits in Mindvalley. Silva Method, the official course, Silva Ultramind, now sits in Mindvalley. And that's what I do. When I find something that is life-changing, I go and I get the rights. And I work with the author, and we produce like programs to help get these ideas out. There's another one, which is not a book. It's an online course. It's called The Art of Manifesting by Reagan Hillier. So we produce that. And that's on Mindvalley as well. And these are all like for one subscription. And The Art of Manifesting is just powerful stuff, teaching you how to become a master manifester. So I think these 3 protocols, if you want to really master the mind, truly, truly incredible.
As I love it. And I think what's great about these protocols too is not only do they help you have these incredible benefits in personal development, but they also protect your brain, and they make your brain actually younger. And I when you're using your brain in these advanced ways, which is, I would say, the opposite of scrolling through endless social media, your brain gets healthier, you make more neuronal connections,
Exactly.
and you
Right.
just feel more powerful in your mind.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, I love it. I love everything that you're doing, everything you're putting out there. And this was an incredible conversation. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
me today.
That's super fun.
Yes, I can't wait to have you back on again when you've done more things.
Oh, anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime. I so enjoyed this conversation.
I love it. Thank you, Vishen.
And by the way, incredible facility. I'm
Thank
about to go
you.
get tested and do all of this blood work with you, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait to take you through our process. I
Yeah.
think, we've saved the lives and changed the lives from a physiological level on thousands of people.
Yeah.
And now to add the information that you're bringing to us and do it on a more mind level, I'm really excited to partner with Mindvalley and recommend it to all of our clients.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Where can people find you?
Mindvalley.com. Or you can follow me on Instagram at Vishen.
Yeah. Thank you, Vishen.
Vishen. I forget. Most people can't spell that.
Thank you, Vishen. So good to have you.
Thank you.